Welcome to the One-Stop Operator Tools training for the Customer Satisfaction Survey. My name is Megan McGinty. I am the One-Stop Operator Manager. Today in this training, I'll go through some background information about us as One-Stop Operator and some background for this project. Then I'll give a brief recap of the project, and then we'll walk through the surveys themselves and the procedures surrounding them. So I'll answer how to use a survey and how to request a survey, and then I'll share a sneak peek of how we want to use the customer satisfaction survey data, and then give some next steps after this training. So you can see this brief summary of who we are as the one-stop operator and who we've worked with to create this new process, this new tool. So we are Scale It, and we are the LWIA 7 one-stop operator. So our goal as one-stop operator is to bring together stakeholders to improve service delivery and carry out service integration goals of the 10 American job centers in Cook County. And then for some more background, our two major collaborators with this project is our project working group and our social impact partner. So we have a customer satisfaction survey project working group. We have created several working groups, and their purpose is to develop tools and procedures for the AJC Network with us. So we've invited partners across Cook County to share their time and their perspectives while we work together and create solutions for the entire system. So, like all our working groups, the Customer Satisfaction Survey working group members are volunteers from different organizations, staff from all levels, who shared their opinion and their feedback at every stage of this project. So they shared what they felt ought to be included in our surveys and what from our old surveys should be grandfathered in. And they also gave us feedback on each draft and each iteration of the survey prototypes that we created. And then outside of our network, we've been working with a social impact partner. So Innovare Social Innovation Partners has been working with us to build out some one-stop operator visual dashboards, which will ultimately be used in our monthly partner meetings. But we've been working with Innovare to streamline this process and build a connection between each survey question to a graph or a widget on our dashboard. So from the very beginning, we have had this vision to use the dashboard to communicate survey data. So Innovare has helped us determine what story we want to tell with the data and how to set ourselves up to tell that story. And now on this side, you see this is the information that we shared with our project working group members to sort of set the stage for this project. So the purpose of this customer satisfaction survey project is to streamline survey usage and data collection. And as one-stop operator, we want to start consistently collecting job seeker feedback and build in the procedures to thoughtfully manage and analyze the data collected through these surveys. Our two goals for this project are to better understand the job seeker experience in order to improve it, and to standardize feedback collection for all 10 American job centers and all events that happen throughout the network. So before COVID, everyone was using the same survey, but we are trying to get back into the groove of collecting survey responses as we adapt to new normal operations at the centers. Then our vision with these surveys, again, was to create a connection between job seeker feedback and a visual dashboard, mainly in order to identify trends, and best practices or areas of improvement. So we are going to do this by tracking the characteristics of each service, and then not only will we be able to see the big picture of customer feedback across the network, but we'll be able to utilize the dashboard and slice and dice the data in different ways. And here is a timeline of this project as a whole. So back in June of 2021, we started our working group and we began collecting feedback and input from our working group members. We created drafts and prototypes for these surveys, and then we made revisions based on our partner feedback. In August, we started a pilot at 2 of our American Job Centers. And then in September, we brought on another American Job Center, so they started to pilot. We provided them with a survey link as well. Then throughout 2021, we had these 3 AJCs using these surveys, troubleshooting with us, and really truly piloting these surveys, sharing their experience and letting us know if we should make any adjustments or changes to the procedure. In January of 2022, we started expanding this project. We created new customized survey links for our WIA one-stop partners. And then by March of 2022, staff at each American Job Center attended onboarding sessions with me, and partners are slowly starting to adopt this tool and this procedure into their everyday operations. And then looking forward, we plan to roll out this customer satisfaction survey results dashboard in June of 2022. So, transitioning to the surveys themselves, we have created 2 surveys, one on-site survey, which is a bit longer with more questions for a job seeker to fill out, and then a workshop survey, which is pretty brief, much shorter than the on-site survey, and should be pretty easy for job seekers who attend these events to complete. So, some background on each survey. For this on-site survey, we are trying to use this survey to capture feedback from job seekers who are walking into the American Job Centers. So prior to COVID, the surveys that were available to job seekers in the resource room. So we're bringing this back. We want our survey to be available to job seekers in the resource room. Again, this survey will be used to understand the experience of those job seekers walking into the center who have an experience at the center beyond just attending an event. Those are the participants who will be best equipped to answer the on-site survey questions, which I will go through on the next slide. And then with this workshop survey, we created this survey to supplement the on-site survey because we really wanted to capture feedback from these workshop participants. So we want to know what they thought about that specific event they attended. So again, we'll be able to trace that response from a job seeker back to the event that they attended, and perhaps share that feedback with the event organizers or the facilitators. So depending on the type of event, whether it's in person or virtual, staff can use their discretion on how best to distribute this survey link. But from our pilot group, we heard that they were providing the link by sending it out at the end of an event in the chat or in a follow-up email to attendees. So distribution of the workshop survey is a bit different than the on-site survey. Again, that on-site survey, just like prior to COVID, will be opened on the resource room computers. So now transitioning to the content, the questions on each survey. So if you remember, one of the main responsibilities of our working group members was to provide feedback and input on the several drafts of these surveys. So we used the survey from before COVID and workshopped some new questions with our working group members, and we asked them if there was anything from the old surveys that wasn't captured that would be valuable to staff, that would get at the essence of the job seeker experience, or if there was any content on the old survey that was redundant or potentially confusing to job seekers. And then we started to create new questions for each survey, and then we asked for feedback on those questions. There are 2 questions, which refer to as benchmarks, that will be featured in all of our one-stop operator surveys. So that is Net Promoter Score and overall satisfaction. So Net Promoter Score asks the respondent about the likelihood of them recommending this event or this service to someone else on a scale of 1 to 10. And then overall satisfaction is exactly what it sounds like. What is a job seeker's overall satisfaction rating of their experience, whether it's in the American Job Center while on site or their satisfaction of an event or workshop that they attended. So now, looking specifically at on-site survey, one really good idea that we heard from our working group was to add this question of what was the purpose of your visit? So this question gives a lot of insight into the job seeker experience that we didn't have before COVID. So we get to see what our job seekers are accessing. And because there are several partners who are required to provide direct service at the American Job Centers, we're able to see if a job seeker is providing feedback on a meeting with Title I versus a meeting with IDES. So that is some valuable information that we can capture with this question. But this question can also serve as, I think someone referred to the answer choices as a menu of services. So we have a pretty comprehensive list of answer choices of all of the services that a job seeker could potentially access through an AJC. So if a job seeker were to go and answer this question, they might see a service or a program that they are interested in, and that might prompt them to ask about the other partner programs that might be available to them. And then some of the other helpful questions that we've included in the on-site survey is, ease of accessing services at the AJC, whether the appropriate accommodations were made, and whether staff provided clear next steps or takeaways for job seekers. And then we also have a space for comments. And then now transitioning to this shorter workshop survey, because a job seeker is providing feedback on their experience attending a workshop, we have these benchmarks, the Net Promoter Score and the overall satisfaction, but we also ask about the length of this workshop. Was it appropriate? Did they want the workshop to be longer so they could learn more, or do they think that it could be condensed into a shorter workshop? And then we ask, so did this workshop provide you with clear next steps? Did you get the takeaways that you wanted? Did this meet your expectations? And then beyond that, we also provide a space for unstructured feedback, a comment box, just to capture any additional information that a workshop attendee would like to provide. And now, sort of switching gears to the procedure surrounding this survey. So how we envision staff using these surveys and providing them to job seekers. So with this on-site survey, again, this is the one that's capturing feedback from job seekers or participants or students who are walking into the American Job Center. So if you are opening up your resource room to walk-ins, or if you are still booking appointments for job seekers to use the resource room, you can have the on-site survey available open on the resource room computers. This is very similar to how feedback was captured prior to COVID. We can help embed this link into the desktop computers if you need any assistance. But we do use SurveyMonkey for these surveys, and SurveyMonkey is not supported by Internet Explorer. So we suggest that you open this customized on-site survey link on Google Chrome or even on Microsoft Edge. But if you want to continue using Internet Explorer as the default browser, you can continue to do that, but we suggest opening the survey on either Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. So beyond just the resource room, to capture feedback from people who are walking into the American Job Center but not necessarily walking into the resource room, we will prepare to distribute QR codes that will link directly to the customized on-site survey link. We can laminate them, we can post them throughout the center, and make it accessible to job seekers who have smartphones who can scan the QR codes. But in the future, we plan to install kiosks at each of the American Job Centers. So once we have kiosks or tablets available in the centers, we will use these to capture feedback with these links on those devices as well. So again, this survey is capturing feedback from the job seekers who are walking into the center, and we want them to provide feedback while they're still in the center. And now with this workshop survey, this is the one that we want to provide to workshop or event attendees. So we will ask staff to distribute this link to the attendees at your event. With our pilot, we identified this best practice of sharing the link in the chat if it's a virtual webinar. If you send follow-up emails to the attendees, either with next steps or certificates of completion, this survey can be sent in those emails as well. We want to try and capture the feedback quickly, so if that follow-up email is sent within 24 hours, that would be ideal. And then similarly, for job seekers who have access to smartphones, we can help staff at the AJCs create QR codes with their links and just make it accessible in that way as well. And then if you have an on-site or an in-person event where you can't, send a link in the webinar chat, we can go through the QR code route where you have that QR code available to workshop attendees or event attendees so they can use their smartphone if they have one. Otherwise, in the follow-up email to that event, the link can be sent to job seekers. We're trying to get away from paper copies just because that creates more work for staff, because your staff will have to manually enter the responses from job seekers. So we want to try and streamline this and allow the job seeker to provide their feedback directly. So if you have trouble or questions on how to distribute the workshop survey, you can always reach out to the OSO team. Okay, now giving some background on what we're doing behind the scenes and why I have referred to this customized survey link a few times. So on the back end, I am setting up these links, these survey links that I will provide to staff, that staff will later provide to job seekers. Sort of embedded in those links is the characteristics of where and how this survey is used. So each link is special and specific to a certain American Job Center, to a specific partner, an organization, or even to a specific event. So this is a way that we have found to capture or collect feedback from all of these different American Job Centers and all these different events. We can have the same questions, the same exact survey, but we don't ask the job seeker where they went, what event they attended, what partner they interacted with. Instead of having those questions in the survey, we can put that information in the customized survey link. Again, instead of using a bunch of different surveys with different questions, which would create different data sets, we're able to put all of that important information in the URL, in the survey link, and then send it to you, send it to your staff. So all your staff will need to do after providing that information to the OSO team is to just identify when to use which link and distribute it to the appropriate job seekers. So again, this link is how we are connecting each job seeker response to the dashboard. And this is how we are making sense of the feedback that your participants provide. So this will allow one-stop operator team, but also your staff to see the big picture for the network or for the AJC, but we can also get super granular and look at the feedback from this one particular event or this one particular partner. Some of the custom variables, some of the information that I would embed in a link is the survey type, whether it is in-person or virtual. This is really important with the workshop survey. We want to be able to understand the in-person experience attending a workshop versus a experience at a virtual workshop or a virtual hiring fair. And then I'd also put in information about where the survey is being used, what site or what American Job Center is connected to this survey, connected to this response, and then going even further, what partner is using this survey and what organization falls under that partner category. And then specifically with these workshop surveys, we also can put information about the workshop itself. So what is the workshop name and what category or subcategory does this workshop fall under? So we'll be able to use each of these variables, each piece of information, to create almost a lens through which to view the data. So we can look specifically at this workshop category or subcategory, or look a bit, step back a bit and see what about this one specific American Job Center or this specific partner category. For example, Title I. If we want to see all of the Title I events, we can look at it through that lens. All because I have customized the survey link before you even give it to a job seeker. The method through which I am collecting this information is these survey request forms. So this is our solution, which is hopefully the easiest way for your staff to provide this information to me. We have a request form for the on-site survey, Again, this is used at the American Job Centers or on site. And then we have another request form for the workshop survey, which is used at specific events or after specific workshops. So in this form, we added a prompt for each of these custom variables. So there's a prompt for this custom variable and this one and this one and this one. The prompts are specific to each survey, really giving me only the information that I need to give you the customized link that you will distribute to job seekers. So once we give this request form to staff and staff fill out the form, I have all the information I need to create a customized link. So then when I export those responses, Innovair is able to scrape the data and feed it into the dashboard. So these request forms will be used by your staff to communicate information to me and the rest of the one-stop operator team. And then the response on these survey request forms give me the feedback or give me the background information necessary for the customized survey URL and visual dashboard component. So once I can access your responses from either the on-site survey request form or the workshop survey request form, I can create the link, and then your staff have the fully customized, individualized survey link to give to the right job seekers. So when you open each request form, it gives you a bit more context just to remind you why you should fill out which request form and who needs to fill out each survey. So what type of job seeker should receive and complete which survey. With each survey, there are some questions that we want to ask and answer before giving the survey to a job seeker. So specifically, with the on-site survey, when we look at a job seeker response to the survey, we want to know, when did the job seeker visit the AJC and why did they visit the AJC? Who did they meet with? What support did they receive? All of that will be answered in the survey request form. So then when a job seeker completes the survey with the customized survey link, we already know all the answers and it's right there on the dashboard. And then with the workshop survey, we ask and answer the question, which event did they attend and what partners were involved in that event? Again, these are really important when we try and make sense of the responses that a job seeker provides in the survey. So I hope that makes sense. I can answer any questions that you have about these survey request forms, and if the purpose or even the questions are unclear, I can either provide that information via email, or you can go ahead and set up a meeting with us and I can walk through the process in a bit more detail. But again, this is how we're streamlining the surveys and achieve that vision of creating the connection between the surveys and the visual dashboard and tracking the characteristics of each service. So, this is a prototype of our visual dashboard. So this can kind of give you a frame of reference as to why we are asking staff to fill out the survey request forms and how that will influence how we speak about this data. So again, we can see which workshop this job seeker response, this survey response is connected to. We can see how many individuals have completed a survey after their attendance at this workshop versus this workshop. We can also look through the lens of which organization is hosting this workshop and which organization is sending out the survey. And then we can also sort of look and see the different questions, the different benchmarks, and then identify trends. These are also filters that we can look through and really use the data in a productive way. Then with on-site, we can see which organization is using it and for what reason a job seeker walked into the center and what they were able to access while they were there. And again, these benchmarks are here too. We can see this really important information very easily, and we can use these characteristics as filters, and then these numbers, these results will update easily. But this is a prototype. The dashboard will not look like this for long. It has gone through several different iterations, but just wanted to show you why we need some of this information up front and why we are creating these customized survey links and why your staff would have to juggle different links for different events or purposes. Oh, also, more background. I know before COVID, before we became OSO, and before this dashboard even existed, our staff, our AJC partners really like to look at the individual comments that job seekers provided. So we listened. You will also be able to look at the individual comments and see if any of your facilitators or career coaches get shout outs from job seekers. You'll still be able to share that feedback or at least access it. So next steps after the conclusion of this training, if you don't already have access to those survey request forms, you can reach out to us, reach out to the OSO team at oso@scaleiit.org. We will send over those survey request forms either for the on-site survey to capture feedback at your center, or the workshop survey for one or more of your upcoming events. And of course, if this survey request form is confusing or if you have questions, you can always reach out, set up meetings, and we can sort of walk you through the process. Then as you begin requesting customized survey links and start distributing these surveys, we encourage you and your staff to communicate with our team. Let us know if this is working for you. Share your insights as to how your staff feel about using these surveys, how your job seekers potentially feel about using these surveys. So any and all questions and suggestions to streamline this process even more are welcome. And then moving forward, we do want to provide the space to give us feedback on this survey on a regular basis, not just when things come up. So please be on the lookout for some check-in meetings or surveys about these surveys. Just stay in tune with how you and your staff feel about this tool and if it's meeting your needs, and remain committed to continuous improvement and make sure we evaluate these tools on a regular basis. So that completes this training. If you have any questions or if you need these survey request forms, please don't hesitate to reach out to the OSO team, and have a great day.